Hello and welcome to another Tinto Talks video where I have a look at the Tinto Talk and go over the changes that have been made to the game that we're also very hyped about. Before we get into that, I would just like to once again, for the second time today, I guess, direct you to go and have a watch of my recent video that I posted yesterday about all of the changes that are coming to EU5 or Project Caesar, if you will. All the things that we've learned in the past year and what my favorite 10 things are. And yeah, if you want to watch that, that would make me very happy. But let's first get into the changes that are coming regarding what has changed because of our feedback, right? All of these Tinto Talks are here for a very special reason. That is to gather feedback from the community and then act upon that feedback. And it has been pretty objectively proven that your feedback is having an impact, and well, this is an image that kind of very succinctly shows that because this trade good here, beeswax, the wax, the whatever, was not in the game when it was first not really announced. The game hasn't even been announced yet, but when we got that first reveal a year ago. So let us have a look and see what we got going on here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tinto Talks. This is a happy Wednesday. They all are, let's be honest, where we talk about our yet unannounced game with the codename Project Caesar. The main reason for us to do these Tinto Talks is to gather feedback and improve the game. What you've been telling us really matters, and now we will talk about some important changes that have happened during this last year. When we talk about external feedback here, it's primarily from people reacting to Tinto Talks, and when we say internal feedback, it's from people at Paradox and the partners playtesting it. The first of 4 talks on feedback is about improvements to the economic system of Project Caesar. Okay, are we getting the next 4 weeks, I guess, are going to be improvements that have come, right? For dev diaries on feedback. That could be cool. Looking forward to that. All right. If that is how it's supposed to be read. Anyway, first of all, goods rework. We've added 5 goods and removed 2 by merging some goods, all from great feedback and suggestions that have been gotten. So, first of all, the most importantly of all, they have listened to us. The arguments have been heard, they have been agreed with, and the spices have been split. We now have 3 spices, 3 split spices. We've got saffron for Europe and the Middle East. We've got pepper for Asia and chili for the Americas. They talked about naming them with generic terms, such as American spices, European spices, Asian spices, but they went with these as it felt more immersive. Fantastic! That is what we have wanted. We have been campaigning for quite a while, and I am very, very happy that that has actually come to pass. The community sentiment on this was pretty much ubiquitous, universal. That's probably actually the better word. And yeah, we've gotten our way. We have now got split spices because, look, at the end of the day, the spices were a big driver of colonization, of imperialism, and this is the period where all that happened, and now that can be represented, and it couldn't before, and that is a really, really good thing. Moving on though, dates are gone. They've been merged into fruits. Soybeans are gone. They've been merged into legumes. That's fair enough. This was because they wanted to make sure that goods had add interesting depth and flavor to the economy without cluttering the system, and they thought there are better candidates to split up. Honestly, I'm not unhappy with that. I don't really mind that at all. They also added beeswax to simulate everything from honey to candles. It was heavily requested by the community, and this is a common raw material around most of the world. Fantastic. 2 new produced goods were also added in pottery and furniture. Pottery is a product mainly from clay, and it's demanded by pops and many buildings that produce alcohol. Furniture requires lumber to be produced, and it's primarily demanded by pops, while some administrative buildings require small amounts of furniture regularly as well. So I'm curious as to whether the furniture is that box that we keep seeing. I would hazard a guess at not. That didn't really seem box-like to me, or furniture-like to me. So I don't think we have yet seen the image for the furniture, and unfortunately, this dev diary actually doesn't show it either. Maybe this Saturday for the Saturday building, maybe something that requires furniture can be shown off. That would be kind of neat. That would be cute. We'd like that. But let's have a look. Pottery here. One of the oldest signs of human society, the ability to turn clay into various objects, is one of the key factors in the development of humanity. From the crude earthenware vases of prehistoric times to the more complex forms, pottery is omnipresent in any culture. And now goods toolships show the market-related information when applicable. Here, Riga has 7.94 surplus of pottery, so it could be nicely exported. So there's your surplus. What the other ones are, I'm not sure. Okay, so this is supply, this is demand, this is price, and not sure what this one here is, what the bar is. But no, good to have more information on here for sure. Some goods got increased base prices like lumber and salt, and many demands for goods have been changed from feedback, both external and internal. Salt, as an example, is now required for maintenance of auxiliary regiments and from market buildings. Yep, perfect, that makes 100% sense to me. Salt is obviously the original preservative, and if you are an auxiliary regiment, that means you're the one that's carting around all the food for the army. Yeah, you're going to be salting that food to make sure it doesn't go bad. Productivity and specialization. Something that was suggested at many places was to improve the specialization and make different locations more unique when it came to industry. This we have achieved by 4 mechanical changes. Okay, so this is also coming with mechanics. First of all, that is a soft building cap. Okay, now, funnily enough, this video that I was just talking about, that I made and uploaded yesterday, one of the things that I said in that video was that there was no building cap, which is, I guess a little bit out of date now. Congratulations me, your video lasted 19 hours before becoming out of date. That's just very perfect. Yep, okay then. Right, every town can support 25 building levels, every city can support 100 building levels, and each development point in a location adds another building level. Okay, it is a soft building cap, so, okay. Each level above the cap increases building costs in that location by 10%. This, besides making you want to diversify your cities, makes the decisions to go from guilds to manufactories to mills something you want to strive for, as the added benefits of adding some minor diminishing returns for investments for the very rich, and adding another incentive to get cities where possible. Alright, my thoughts on this are, this is a good thing, right? I think this is one of the things I really disliked about Imperator Rome Vanilla was the idea that you would try and have, like, individual cities with all of the pops and then everywhere else would be completely empty. And those individual cities would also have all of the buildings, all of your invested infrastructure would be in those cities. Now with this being a soft cap and also it's not possible to move pops into places with just clicks, that's going to stop this from being something that can happen. If you're going over your building cap, then you're going to be spending a lot of money. Every single building above that cap, extra 10% cost to build. That's going to add up very, very quickly. Of course, you can go over, and honestly, I could see myself going 10 buildings over in some cases. But the more you go over, the higher that percentage gets, and that is gonna be painful. Secondly, which ties into specialization, is the fact that every single level of a building adds another plus 1% production efficiency. This serves to represent economies of scale, so if you have a town with a level 8 brewery, you produce 8% more beer than having 8 towns with a level 1 brewery in each. This kind of goes against what I was just saying about, mega cities essentially being the meta, and I didn't like that. This kind of makes that again the case. Though there are so many more buildings in EU5 than there were in Imperator that it's probably not going to matter. This is, of course, about specialization, not just about one city with everything in it. So, it's probably gonna be fine. Probably. That's fine. It's fine. I mean, this makes sense though, in fairness. So, sure. Though I do think that it's maybe not 100% historical because, I mean, every city probably would have its own brewery. If you think about, maybe like a United, you know, let's just go with, I was going to say United Germany, but let's just go with England, right? If you have England, you're probably not just going to have, say, random town, Birmingham. Probably not just going to have Birmingham be the place where all of your breweries are, and then the beer that you get from Birmingham is then spread around to the whole country. You're probably going to have multiple breweries all over the country. Whereas here it makes sense to, I've just conquered a bit of Scotland and there's some breweries in Glasgow. Well, I'm going to delete them because I want the all of my breweries to come from Birmingham, so I get this production efficiency bonus. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. Thirdly, they've added a mechanic that they've used in previous games and added benefits to having raw materials produced locally. Yes! Good. If you have access to the input goods in the same province as the building is in, you can now get up to 10% more production efficiency for the building. So now it makes sense. Hang on, is it same province? So it's not just a location. Fantastic. If you have a province that is a group of locations that has, say, both iron and coal in it, then, I'm talking late game here, then making your steel mills in that location is gonna be pretty freaking good. Your breweries, you know what? Birmingham might be the place where you're building them, but if your wheat farms, your rye farms, your whatever, for your production methods in those breweries, if you have those trade goods in that province, if you have that, those wheat goods grown there, that might be the place that you want to build them. A city surrounded by a bunch of wheat, real good brewing city. Not gonna lie, seems like a decent idea. But yes, this is fantastic. This is absolutely glorious. Finally, they've halved the base amount of levels of RGO you can have in a location, which were heavily tied to population and development, and gave rural locations plus 100% boost to RGO levels. This naturally makes the choice of where you build your towns and cities more interesting. Okay, let me read through that one again. Halve the base amount of levels of RGO you can have in a location. So I guess in locations you could upgrade the amount of the good that you can get. So say you have a location that has beeswax, then you could upgrade the beeswax producing building, or are you upgrading the location itself, and is that a building or is that not a building? Does every RGO have an associated building and that's the building that we're talking about, the building levels? Or is it, this is the beeswax on this location, I'm upgrading the level of my beeswax, and it's not technically a building. Does this count towards this? I don't know the answer to that. So it was tied heavily to population and development and gave rural locations plus 100% boost to RGO levels. This seems fine, although this seems like something that I'm going to have to get my hands on the game to, kind of understand properly what's going on here. Or either that, or go and reread some of the older dev diaries. I did, in the past week, read all of them all the way through, but I also have a terrible memory. I've gone over this before, so I've already forgotten quite a bit of it. So yeah, okay, interesting. Hopefully this will become more clear what this means as we move forward. So here we have the amount produced of beer. I think that's beer, at least. So we got wheat breweries. There is level 3 brewery, access to input goods, giving times 1 market access. There we got the output, producing 2.91 beer from 2.67 with 100% of workers due to literacy. Burger state satisfaction is affecting it. There is wheat in Cambridgeshire. And then they've got 3 levels in building, giving a +2 there. Okay, it's not something that is massively, massively impactful. But, getting that extra little bit of a boost is probably something you will be looking to go for. Level 3 brewery in Cambridge has access to what is nearby, but not enough lumber and tools. Lack of market access impacts throughput a bit, though. Okay. All right, moving on to minting then. They reworked the minting and inflation mechanics to be more tied into the production of precious metals. In Project Caesar, they have 2 precious metals in gold and silver, but a mod could have as many or as few as they want. There are 3 different impacts from these precious metals on minting, though. First of all, the amount of gold and silver that you produce has an impact on the income you get from minting new coins. So more actual metals used for the coins instead of lost in transactions. Okay. Secondly, the production of gold and silver as a percentage of your total goods production of your economy will increase inflation. So this seems like they're going back to a EU4 system here, because this is what happens in EU4, of course. If you have, obviously, silver isn't in EU4, but gold is, and the production of gold in EU4 as a percentage of total income is what increased inflation there. So, somewhat going back to that system. I guess it worked, so sure, why not? Finally, minting requires access to gold and silver, so you can't mint if you don't have access to it. And if a country can't get it from their market, then they can't produce more money. Okay. So minting more coins, giving 12 ducats here, which is 8% of their 106 tax base, which gives them how much? Inflation 0.07. Okay. They've banned exporting it. So this could be looking at Hungary, actually, because they are, if I remember rightly, in the Hungary flavor, they had bans of exports. So this is how much gold they produce, that's how much silver they produce. Inflation changing each month because of the amount of gold and silver, the base value, the current minting level, and adding gold and silver demands to the okay, yes, definitely, it is Hungary then. Hungary has a fair amount of gold and silver produced, so they can benefit nicely from it. Banning the exports of gold and silver in the precious metal distribution law has some nice benefits to income from minting, even if there are some drawbacks. All right, fair enough. Population changes. One thing they noticed through testing was how the entire raw materials economy could basically ignore deaths as long as you had enough peasants around, because living peasants would instantly fill the vacancies created by deaths. They decided to change that by splitting peasants into 3 different pops. Yo! 3 new pops? Hey, yo! I was not expecting that. We now have laborers, soldiers, and peasants. We are getting pure Victoria vibes now. Pure Victoria vibes, and that is not a bad thing. Laborers and soldiers are still lower class pops and belong to the same estates, but they need to be promoted from peasants to fill in vacancies in RGOs and buildings. Peasants now represent the common people over whom we rule. Most of them live on subsistence farming or in our villages. Laborers represent the people who work manual labor in our towns, cities, and rural locations. They work the land to create, harvest, and gather the raw materials that are the backbone of the country, or work as unskilled labor in the mills. And then soldiers represent the common people that provide the manpower for our armies and garrisons, as well as sailors for the navies. Cool. That is absolutely fantastic. I was not expecting this. I am very happy to see this. This is great stuff. I didn't think there was a problem with the current or the previous breakdown of pops. I thought, peasants into burghers, nobles and clerics, slaves and tribesmen in there as well. That was fine, but yeah, no, this is fantastic. This is actually so incredibly base. And this is of Genoa, so if we see their peasants, they've still got the majority of their country is still, or the majority of this location, I guess, is still peasants. But then we've got the laborers here, the soldiers here, and yeah, no, very, very happy to see that. That's awesome. Promotion's been reworked as well, where not all types of pops promote as quickly. Pops promote into clergy and nobles promote at 10% of the promotion speed, while pops promote to burghers promote at 50% of the speed. Pops becoming laborers, though, promote at 150% of the speed. Fantastic. So if laborers are the ones that are going to be working harvesting, gathering raw materials, etc., backbone of the economy. I feel like when they die, if the promotion speed is 150% and there are so many peasants turning into these laborers, I'm not sure it's going to have a colossal impact. But essentially, and while I'm loath to like point out Victoria 3 ever, it does feel like we're now going to maybe enter into a situation where I'm going to be looking at provinces and seeing, oh, this province has, say, 148,000 spare peasants. Okay, so I am able to build buildings worth 148,000 people. That's kind of where I'm going to see the limit. I mean, I guess there is the limit up here that we were talking about. But that was the case in Victoria 3, where your building limit was literally how many peasants do I have? Because they would eventually promote. They would promote pretty quickly as well. If that is not the case, then great. The building limit is going to help with that, and I think that is definitely tied into this system as well, right? The reason for this splitting and the reason for limiting buildings, like that is tied together for sure. And maybe it's not going to be a problem. Maybe it's not going to fall into the same pitfall as Victoria 3. That seems pretty likely. Just, it seems like this is being developed rather competently, so I'm assuming that it's not going to fall into the pitfalls. So this is good. This is definitely good. So here we have the pop promotion in Naples. Universities help. There's a base value, of course, for every location. So the more locations you have, the more it promotes. Or is this just we're just looking at individual locations when you're looking at promotion? Plenty of opportunities, whatever that is. Average literacy helps. City location rank helps. The lack of control would not help. Local works of art is good, and positive stability is also good. And then this is how many get promoted every month. So 81 laborers a month. I mean, we've got 148,000 in Genoa. So I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. All right. You also changed how pop demands work and made the demands scale by the development of the location. So pops in more advanced parts of the world will now demand far more goods. Okay, that makes sense to me. And that, I guess, would also come with a very big this is now playable kind of situation for India, because there is a metric crap ton of pops in India with locations that have, hundreds of thousands of pops in them, but the development is very, very low. So having a very high development, say northern Italy situation, Genoa, for example, would be a high development location. Those pops, obviously, there are nowhere near as many as in, say, Bengal, but the development is higher, so they may end up having similar levels of demand. How much this affects it, I guess we'll maybe find out. Let's keep reading. Pops more advanced parts of the world will demand far more goods. It creates constant growth. They also changed a bit on how the economy works for pops and estates. Pops are now no longer getting their goods entirely for free, but instead the estates will now pay for the goods that the pops need with the money they have left after taxes. The amount they spend per pop scales by the control of the location, so it is balanced compared to the income they get. Severely limits the snowball effect of having rich estates invest in making themselves and the country richer. Hang on a moment. Oh my gosh, this is huge, actually. This is incredibly tied into a huge complaint that people had when they learned about the estates and the estates taxes and control, especially. People were very worried and very, I guess, annoyed that the money that was not taxed due to low control vanished into thin air, vanished into the ether, became something that was not in the game, right? People were very annoyed by that. There were people that were quite upset. Now, that money that they do not spend on taxes, which includes control here, is now going to be used to purchase goods for the pops in those locations. This just covers what people were complaining about. That complaint is wiped out. It doesn't exist anymore. It has been covered. It has been rectified. God damn, the Tinto team are covering all of the bases and fixing all of the issues. Okay. The nobility has needs and spends money on them. Yes, they do, indeed. Another problem that was identified through testing was that basing the distribution of income in a location on the political power of the estates was that in almost all cases, the commoners got nothing and the nobles got everything, which meant that you never wanted to tax your commoners, but wanted to squeeze everything out from the nobles. While being an admirable goal, it does not reflect historical reality much. Well, how to solve this? Well, I mean, it does kind of reflect the way that taxes happened in. Just going to talk about the USA. When income tax was first introduced, it was just on the rich. Anyone who made over $100,000, they paid taxes on that money. People making less than that, no taxes. But that's completely irrelevant here. But yeah, okay. So how did they fix that? Well, before they added the Cossacks, tribes, and Dhimmi estates from feedback, there was a one-to-one direct connection between a specific pop type and which estate they belonged to, so the estates could get exactly the amount of money their pops were generating. And since we did not want to do something performance crippling, like splitting pops into one per building, they went with pooling all income in a location and distributing it by political power. Now, though, that's changed, and they want to instead distribute it for a fixed fraction per pop in the estates, so commoners and burghers get money you want to tax from their work. Okay. Hold up. Instead of doing it on political power, now it's done by a fixed fraction per pop in the estate. Okay, so if you have 30% nobles, then you get 30% of the money instead of nobles having, 80% power, so they get 80% money. I think that's how I'm looking at this. So the tax base in Naples here, 22 ducats, that's all together. And then that is paid from nobles and clergy having roughly the same amount. They're close enough to the same percentage. Burghers, low percentage. Commoners, high percentage. Okay. And then the taxed amount here is... Okay, so this is the amount that they have, and this is how much they are spending. So we are taking less money from the nobles here, which makes sense historically, and more money from the commoners. I guess there are more of them, so that makes sense. I think 37 is a bit early to embrace the Reformation, so I can tax the clergy, but we could build up the city more, so burghers are more taxable. Okay. And these numbers, I think, are changeable. Hang on, if we open the archive, and if we go into the economy makeup, pretty sure we have a graph here. Yeah, you can change the tax percentages here as well. Okay, right. So that's how you can change these numbers. Fair enough. Cool. Next week, they're going to changes that have been done to politics, proximity, and societal values. Awesome. Absolutely love everything that I saw here. They have gone through and looked at all of the standout bits of complaints and standout bits of, no, we didn't like this didn't work for us, this wasn't exactly what we were hoping for, and as far as I can tell, they're just like, alright, fix all of those. Just fix them all. I am very impressed with this dev diary. I'm incredibly impressed. We knew that spices had been split, right? We knew that for a fact because we saw saffron on the map. We saw that. We knew about the beeswax as well. We even, I believe, someone saw something about dates changing into fruits, because I think they couldn't find dates on the Arabia map, whereas they could in the original one, the rework that happened last Friday, or last Monday, actually, sorry. So people did notice this one. I don't think anyone noticed soybeans into legumes. I don't think I saw that comment anywhere. And I don't think anyone has seen chili. Well, certainly not chili, because the Americas haven't been shown since the split. I don't think I've seen anyone spot pepper, though maybe it might be in Persia. I don't know. But overall, everything here I am in favor of. I was a little trepidatious about building caps and the production efficiency for having multiple buildings of the same type. But I do think that what we've seen does cover that. This here is just so it's great. Super Victoria 2 vibes, and this is gonna make people's Vicky 2 mods so much easier to make, or I guess Victoria Universalis, or whatever it's gonna end up being called. Gonna make it so much easier for them to make, and you know what? I'm so in favor of that. Yeah, Johan and the team, you have done a great job, and I very, very heartfeltly appreciate the that you respond to feedback in this way. It is great. I think these Tinto Talks have been an absolute godsend for the game that I'm sure we're all going to be playing far, far more than is healthy. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. Do me an favor and go watch my video. If you haven't already, throw a thumbs up. I did, and I will do it again. And leave me a comment. I've had some absolutely glowing comments, and I am super appreciative of all of them. Especially the people like, oh, look at the editing, this good. Like this does, it warms the heart. So yeah, subscribe to the channel. Click join. I don't even know what that does. I don't know what that is. Subscribe, like my video. It helps me out, you know. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys on Friday for another Tinto flavor post of... I can't even remember what we're looking at. I'm sure it'll be something cool. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.